What's up, people? What's up, folks? So, yeah, I haven't been feeling the best lately. So, fortunately, no fishing trip. I hope I can get a car soon to do some fishing around here or somewhere else. You know, my own accord. Cheers. Hey, Sean Cena. Hey, man. Yeah, so no Italy, at least not there now. Let's see if I will end up going a different time or not. But yeah, here's a new rod, by the way, that I got as a replacement for one that where the tip broke. It's not the same model because the same model wasn't in stock right now, but yeah. So like as a replacement for this rod, where the tip broke off, they sent me this one for free. And this one has a downwind reel holder, which I don't like. Just yeah, not a fan. But this one has an upwind, which is a lot more secure because reels don't wiggle themselves loose with an upwind. But on a downwind, yeah, it will wiggle itself loose eventually. So not a fan of these reel seats. Big fan of these. And yeah, and the rod is like a chicken style rod. It's really made for casting and vertical fishing for from belly boats for European catfish. But yeah, will be a fun rod in Norway as well, and for some other stuff, and maybe for some lighter, calmer fishing. Never knew about me. Anyway, so what we're gonna do? Hmm. Well, here's one of these rigs. I might make a few out of coated cable for catfish in the same style. Because I mean, this is a perfect circle hook rig. Maybe even doing two circle hooks in line for use with night crawlers could be an idea. Because in my state, this is an 11 or no name circle hook, stainless steel. Hi there, Yasin Civil. Yeah, this is an 11 circle. And this is 1.5 millimeter per cable. I think 120 pounds, so like 250 pound and 133 strand cable. Good stuff. As you can see, this one will always turn. Or that's demonstrated like this. Yeah, here you can really see it. Even if I keep it the wrong way till the very end, it still wants to turn and grip perfectly. And the cool thing about circle hook rigs is you don't have to set the hook. So you can also use lighter rods that are fun to fight the fish, but they don't really have the backbone to set a hook, especially over longer distances. So Let's maybe just build one of those leaders. The way I'm thinking right now. Only question would be if I should use a liner, use a bit of a thinner wire hook. Okay, if I can, where does the cable go? If I don't have the right cable, I'm not going to do it now. Because for European catfish, you only really want to use coated cable. Actually, I will also do some custom coated cable, but that's another story and a bit of a long process. But yeah. Basically, I'm using 1 millimeter coated cable and my 1 millimeter 133 strand cable and do it just encase it in shrink tube and shrink that down on it. And that's how I custom coat cable. So, yeah, here's a leader. This is how I would fish it for eels, for like congers, or for, yeah, you could use this for catfish. Just bare metal for catfish isn't ideal because they're pretty good at sensing metal. So I also actually want to coat most of the hook in shrink tube. In fact, I would want to do both. Encase the hook in shrink tube and the leader. Except, of course, the piece that actually the fish is going to have in its mouth. That, for obvious reasons, you don't want to push any shrinky over there. Like, I mean, the thing that's going to penetrate, it won't hook properly if it's not coated. But yeah, if it's coated, I mean, it needs to stay bare metal. Anything else can be coated. Same story as shark fishing. For sharks, of course, you also want to use coated cable. You can absolutely custom coat your cable though. Like a lot of the times, I have problems finding the cable I want as coated cable. So in that case, I just go with whatever, you know. Here are some of the lighter duty Congo rigs that I could have given these to my dad, but I couldn't find them. And here are my heavy duty rigs that I learned to love when I was in Norway. In Norway, this is what I would use. But I wouldn't use these in the Mediterranean simply because these hooks, you know, they're some big ass hooks. And in the Mediterranean, your average fish is smaller, and also you have moray eels in the Mediterranean that taste delicious. Moray eels, if you're in an area where you don't have to worry about ciguatera poisoning, absolutely delicious. Highly recommend. So that is why I will use smaller hooks and more J hooks as well. If I'm in a place with moray eels, I want to catch morays to eat. Only the really big ones put up a fight because moray eels aren't as big as congers, but you catch them the same exact way. So your gear needs to be set up for big conger eels. And the morays is you catch are more or less bycatch. So yeah. Either way you slice it, you have to be ready for those big congers. Mm. Yeah, baby. Perfect hook. Aren't the morays hiding in the rocks? Yes, which is why you need strong gear to pull them out. I mean, I have caught moray eels over sand as well. You know, when it starts to get dark, they come out. As soon as it gets dark, they go for on the hunt, and then they'll come wherever the food is. You know, if you want to catch them during the day, then yes, you'll have to put a bait right in front of their nose. But as long as you're close to some hiding spots, like within 100 or something, maybe even more, I don't know. If you're in the same area where they have hiding spots, they might just go on a stroll on the hunt at night. So yeah, you can absolutely catch them a bit away from the snacks too. That's what I recommend for you if you don't have super heavy gear. Well, you keep breaking fish off, then definitely do it like that. Just get a bit further away from the snacks. It often still works. Anyway, same deal with conger eels, really. They're not that different. Except congers are a bit more migratory, I believe. So making a rig with two of these hooks like this far apart for some night crawlers would be an idea. Could also do them like this, but it wouldn't make sense, no. We're gonna put them in series like this and just absolutely slap each hook full with night crawlers. That makes me think it might be better to use a thinner wire hook for night crawlers. And here we have a J-hook leader that I would use for morays and conger eels. This is in fact crimped, not snelled, but I've put some shrink tube over it to make it like a little bit like a circle hook, you know, with a slight bend inwards, which makes gust hooking less likely, but it'll hook them in the mouth very well. And you can use a lot smaller of a hook, and it'll still work just as well. That is advantage. When you pack the car and drive down. I don't know, John, because I kind of got sick. I don't have a car of my own right now, so I was gonna go with my father, but that didn't work out. So right now I have no concrete plans, unfortunately. But yeah. But yeah, this rig will absolutely slay any size. And this is a short shank hook. Short shank hooks are stronger and yeah, they're just way stronger and resist bending better. And you can get a lot more quality short shank hooks as well. But with this crimp and the shrink tube, it's effectively a long shank hook now. So I can put my bait on here like this and use it like a long shank hook, but it still has the strength of a short shank. Hey there, MN Picker, ride bike down to local creek and fish it. Well, no, we don't have fish that would warrant to tackle like this. Well, okay, catfish, sure, but right now it's honestly too cold to catch much. But in a month or so, when it starts to warm up, once we get like 10 degrees Celsius water temperature, then the catching really begins. So yeah, I really gotta try to get a car. Anyway, if I find like the right size trebles, I'll rig up lures like this one. But here in my state, we're not allowed to use lure or bait fish for the next till March 15th. So for the next 3 months. Yeah, correct. For 3 months, it's gonna be 3 months till I'm allowed to fish with with cut bait or dead bait or lures. Cause yeah, you're allowed to catch eel and catfish, but only using night crawlers. Cause it's spawning time for a few different predatory fish, and yeah, to completely give them a break, they make it so you're not allowed to do anything that will really target these fish. So you can catch perch, catfish, and catfish, so perch, catfish, and eels, but only using worms. So yeah, and you're not even allowed to use any attractants either. It could just be a worm line hook. You couldn't use anything that kind of looks like a lure either. So they're pretty strict on this, and it's annoying because there are ways to fish. You know, they could say, for example, bait fish over 30 bait fish and artificial lures over 30 centimeters, like over 1 foot in length, are permitted because those are clearly catfish baits. You're unlikely to get a pike on these, and definitely nothing else in our waters. But oh well. And also in the open river stream, you don't really have pike anyway to begin with. You only have sander or pike perch, but they don't go after baits this big. They go after baits in this range. No, muskies are only on the other side of the pond, unfortunately. I wish we had muskies, but no. So yeah. So basically, in the river, there's 3 fish that you're allowed to target, but you are only allowed to use worms, and one that is protected during this time of year, which technically isn't even a native species, which is the reason you're not allowed to fish with bait and lures. I don't know how I feel about that, but oh well. So I do wish we had muskies, but we don't. But I might, once I have a car, just drive to a different state where I am allowed to fish with lures and bait fish all year long. Because I am at like the corner where 3 different states meet. So yeah, and they all have slightly different rules. So that would be an option to just drive to different states to do the fishing the way I want to. I'm not going to fish for the protected species, obviously, but there's plenty others that I am completely allowed to catch. Just I'm limited here with the methods I'm allowed to use, which is annoying. NJ Fishing finally got a walleye in the US. Yeah, I know. Walleye and sauger, right? There's like the 2 versions. Yeah. I mean, we also have the Volga sander, which is the eastern relative of our Sangha, that also is a lot smaller and doesn't have the teeth like our Sandra does. That would be fun. I want to see you catch fish. Thanks. Yeah. I just need to get a car, you know? I mean, if anyone wants to chip in, I mean, let me put my PayPal in the description. In case anyone wants to give some help with getting that car. But yeah, my mother is willing to try and help me out with getting a car, but still need to find one to a good price, and yeah, still limited. And I mean, cars and fishing are both expensive, you know, unfortunately. Hey there, Ted. What's up? Meow. Lila's actually sleeping right now. All right. Mm. Mm. Looks like every one of my closets and my attic and my garage. Well, I'm glad I'm not alone, Cat. Yeah. Let's get everything out of here. That is fishing stuff. And then I'll get this whole bag out of the fishing room once all the fishing stuff isn't in here anymore. There are some hooks that snuck itself in. Haha. Nice one. I lost signal on my phone locked up. I'm not sure. Okay. Usually I don't have issues with the connection in here, but who knows? Funeral. Any? No, it's me. My connection has been spotty since last night. Interesting. And yeah, gonna what size reels? From 4,000 all the way up, and I might get some smaller reels all the way up to 50 wide lever drags. Like from a 4,000 size Shimano up to a 50 wide lever drags is what I use at the moment. And I'm gonna both get bigger and smaller reels than that in the future. But yeah, that's what I have at the moment. I'll show you the big boys or the big blow. I would say my Akara 50 watt. This is my biggest reel for the time being. It won't stay the biggest, but right now it is the biggest I have. 85 pounds of drag with a full spool. When you're close to getting spooled, they'll turn into 200 pounds of drag. And a 1-to-1 low gear, and I think it's 3.6 high gear or something like that. Yeah. And I can cast this reel quite well still. I mean, it's a pain to. It's not a reel you want to be casting every 50 minutes all day long. This for that kind of fishing, I prefer smaller reels for sure, but it'll still do the job. Just look at this comparison. This thing is almost as big as my head, and there's reels 3 times this size. But yeah. And let me get out something more on the cute side. Something like this. This is just about my smallest reel that I have at the moment. Yeah. And of course, I have big spinners and everything in between. This is a little Shimano. This is an Okuma Mataira. I also have an Avon HXW Raptor 3-speed MC. So it's a 3-speed level drag reel with a casting brake. And it's a regular 2-speed lever drag made by Okuma, made in Taiwan. That little twin power is made in Japan. I also have some Daivas. When you buy for high-end spinning wheels, Daiwa is the way to go if you live with the max yield. Like if you're spending about $500 and up on a wheel, on a spinning wheel, Daiwa is definitely the way to go. Below that, it's mostly Shimano. Here we have a Shimano Zaragoza. Good reel for what it is. It's heavy. This reel weighs almost 100 grams less and is probably more powerful and holds the same line, and it's made by Daiwa. But it also costs twice as much. Double the price, but weighs only 75% and is still stronger and has more power when cranking. So yeah. The last 2 generations of Shimano Stella just ain't it. So 2013 was the last true Stella. Oh yeah. And like this reel, it's literally making my hand tired just to hold it up. This one I can throw around like, whee, it feels like it weighs almost nothing. Well, this already feels pretty damn heavy. Yeah. but you also pay twice as much. And the servicing, you can't really do it yourself, so you pay even more. So there's reasons for each one, and the Goza is better sealed against water and sand, especially. Like if you're gonna fish on the beach, I would recommend the Goza because it will handle, especially the sand, better than the Daiwa will. So another reason to think of what you need before you buy a reel, not just what would be the best in general. If you, I have, but not a whole lot, because usually we don't get enough ice. Plus, most fish here don't really like to bite when it's that cold. So I've only been, I don't know, went ice fishing like 20 times, never caught a fish doing it. I haven't caught a single fish ice fishing. And I've probably went like 20 times, but yeah. And this is some Coke syrup. It smells Coca-Cola. But yeah, some Coke Zero syrup. I'll just pour that in some water and have that. Because right now I don't know, I've got kind of a sweet tooth and I don't like carbonation. I don't have anything expensive. I end up banging everything around too much in transport, and so maybe better I don't. Well, in my opinion, that's where conventional reels, especially lever drags, come in. You can bang this thing around. This reel, by the way, was only $500. You can bang this reel around. Nothing's gonna happen to it because there's no sticking out parts that are fragile. Anything on the outside can smack pretty rough without anything happening to it. You'll break your rods way before you break this reel. And that goes for most lever drags, especially for any full metal lever drag. Like the Makaira, some of the Abbots, the Internationals, of course. And of course, there's the old Internationals that you can sometimes get, at least in the States, for like $50. You can get the old Globe Internationals. And they still catch fish. If you don't need a ton of drags, I'll definitely use a charge. Almost exclusively from shore, or from bridges, or harbors, or piers. But I'm a land fisherman. Also comes down to money, though. Let's be real. Boats are expensive. If I ever get a sugar mommy who wants to give me a boat, I wouldn't say no. But or if someone I already have decides to chip in to get me a boat. But in the foreseeable future, I myself will not have the money to get a boat. So if I get a boat out of the sudden, either I hit the lottery or there's someone who decided to pay it for me. If it's my own boat, of course. If it's just, or if maybe I meet someone who says I can use their boat when they're not using it. That's also a possibility. That could happen too, of course. But it's for a boat. Like for freshwater fishing, it's okay, but for saltwater fishing, Jesus Christ, just the fuel you need to put in a boat is ridiculous. So yeah. Anyway, I need to plug my phone in. But I am a taken man, so I cannot find a new sugar mommy. So we see it. That's gonna happen. Anywho. Okay, here's where I was gonna put in all my travel hints. maybe in the process find some on some areas of NJ fishermen criticize your equipment. Sure, and trout fishing especially. So he criticizes my equipment without ever talking to me? I mean, he might. I mean, honestly, what I use for trout fishing isn't trout gear. Everything I use for trout is overkill. It's just my rods and reels and lines, they're all pretty damn heavy to go trout fishing with, unless you're targeting like big sea trout. And even for that, it's like really salmon is the only thing my trout gear would be appropriate for. The thing is just, I go trout fishing so little time, in the states of, oh, okay. So people criticize the equipment you bring with you. Well, yeah. I mean, Germans are great at criticizing. Yeah. But like, whenever I go trout fishing, I'm not bringing stuff for trout fishing. I'm bringing the closest thing to it that I already have. That is important to know. Yeah, these trebles are all kind of too big for the lures. I've got to rig. These aren't too big, but they're like too heavy duty almost. Well, I mean, for European catfish, they might work. But I'll need to put on some heavier line on my light reel for these hooks to make any sense. But these little hooks, how much pressure do you think you can apply if these small little treble hooks grip a big fish properly? As you can see, they're really small. I've tested this. If a pressure is applied in the bend, not on the tip, these hold up to 25 kilograms. So 55 pounds of pressure until they straighten. So if you get a corner hook up, you can literally put 50 pounds of drag on a fish with these tiny hooks, and they still won't bend open. So these are what I'm going to use when I'm using small lures for really big fish. Or if I maybe want to use a really small hook on a live bait or something for some big fish again. Yeah. And here we have some Momoi super extra hard mono. This is 250-pound mono, but it's a lot thinner than others in the same strength class. Do I not feel so dignified with things about the hand in mind? I will make it for one more night, but don't land down. All right, let's sort this mess out here. I'm scared. And But I'm researchers. You keep on wondering if you're even worth it. Then you're fine. You let you find because you never been told. Let's just use this as a trash can. Okay, my table colors, please. This hook might still be good for something. This cable isn't. And what's the nice pipe rib I've got there? There's something. This is was a float rig of some sort. Okay, then I promise that you're not alone. Okay. So that's that. And did you keep this? Right. Everything. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely work on getting this room completely sorted out. I just kind of have to know what kind of fishing I'll be doing next. Because for fishing over here, it's going to be quite a bit different than for if I go sea fishing somewhere else. Anyway, let me refresh chat just in case. What time? Want you to. Yeah, I have quite a. I trust in my abilities quite a lot. So many times I've caught fish the locals thought were uncatchable. Doesn't mean, of course, I'm still gonna watch and listen to what the locals are doing, but yeah. I generally have a pretty good idea of how to catch fish. I mean, I've literally been doing this all my life, so. And in, I don't know, over 10, I've definitely caught fish in way more than 10 countries. I don't know how many exactly, but yeah, I'm way above 10. So, yeah. There might be a few kinds of fishing I'm a true expert in, but I know I definitely have a working knowledge of a lot of different stuff and just a pretty good idea what works anywhere. I've never been to the USA, so no. I've caught fish in the Americas, but not the USA. I think the only country I fished where I haven't caught a fish was in Austria, and I've only fished like 2 or 3 times in Austria. Hi there, Cindy. Skip to the chat. This is Cindy. I can't try the PayPal again. Don't worry, Sean. You don't have to say anything. Yeah, let's get this set up. So yeah, my Italy trip didn't work out because I caught something like a illness instead of a fish. I would have done that once I got there. It's good that I didn't, because yeah, I didn't end up going. In a lot of countries, they actually don't need a license for saltwater fishing. What are the plans? But it is pretty common for saltwater to be free, and you're only needing a license for freshwater fishing. In some places, you don't even need one for freshwater, but yeah. Like for example, in UK, saltwater fishing is free. You need a card. In Scotland, freshwater is also free. In England and Wales, you need a card for freshwater, and in Ireland, both fresh and salt water is free. So yeah. How's our Cindy doing? Nobody you will know when. Yeah, no, it might take some time till I get a car and we can do some proper fishing lives. We'll see. Or maybe I'll find a way to do some fishing before. But the problem is, to do some good fishing right now, I kind of have to get away from my area, which makes things a bit more complicated, as you can maybe imagine. I'm at work. Well, thank you for stopping by, Cindy. I hope you don't get scolded. Yeah. Like on the Baltic Sea, fishing is good already, but the Baltic Sea is an 8 to 9 hour drive away from where I am, and I can do like a 5 to 8 hour drive to the Mediterranean Sea. There, the fishing is also pretty decent right now, but I basically have to go either 8 hours plus north or 6 hours plus south to get into some good fishing right now. The northern Mediterranean or the southern. The North Sea is actually closer, but fishing in the North Sea, especially around this time of year, isn't great usually. I could also get in like 5 to 6 hours to the North Sea. Most freshwater stuff right now isn't great. So if I have a car and I can afford the fuel, I have a few different areas to fish. And I'm also only like 10 hours away from the Protonic Atlantic coast. And yeah. So a lot of different stuff I can fish. I just didn't get them. Oh, true. You can also do artwork. Usually it's more Travis who does the artwork though, isn't it? I live in Minnesota, USA. We have many lakes. Love to go sea fishing. Yeah. I can be within 10 hours I can fish 4 different seas. With a 10-hour drive, I can be on some good fishing spots in 10 different seas and in like 15 different countries. Prices are like 3 times as high. But food is cheaper. Food is quite a bit cheaper. Yeah. Well, Cindy definitely is a work of art. I'm sure Travis would agree. Right, Cinders? You with your ravishingly beautiful face. So as you get it, Cindy said that she had RBF, and I said, "Oh, a ravishingly beautiful face," and I think that is more accurate. Anyway, here we have some lion. This is the right amount. It is 60-pound whole core topped with 100-pound to fill a 6K size is spinner, but it's more what I would use on some conventional reels. It's a bit thick for most stuff that I would use spinning reels for. That size. Well, it would be the right size maybe for fishing for our eels here between the rocks. Anymore. And who knows, maybe once I get a car and get my channel to grow, I'll get my channel big enough that it can finance my fishing at least. Or let's say that it can take care of the extra costs I have. Yeah, it would be pretty cool if I can make enough to videos and animations for that to happen. Here we have some stainless steel hooks. That would be good for some light gauge conger fishing or some cod or something like that. Definitely not for catfish, not for our catfish. They're way too thin for that. And I'll go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, folks. 1 minute, literally. No longer. Hey, we got more people if I'm not on the live. Interesting. Anyway. Cook cod. That'll happen for 100%. Although I'm not going to be catching cod here. I'm going to be catching cod like maybe in northern Norway, maybe in Scotland, because like or cod in the North Sea and even worse in the Baltic, they have completely crashed their population. Like the couple cod that I might catch on occasion in the Baltic, they all get released because it's so bad. Like not that long ago, like 10 years ago, cod would be the primary fish you catch. Now you catch like you can catch 50 flounders and other flatfish without even catching a single cod. Back then, I would try to catch cod. Sorry, I would try to catch flatfish. I would buy different kinds of ragworm and other worms and stuff that works really well for flatfish. And I would specifically go for flatfish, and I would still catch cod. Now I do the opposite. I use cut bait and pretty big hooks and baits and everything. I don't catch a single cod. I haven't caught a cod in years. And you have to go to the Arctic Circle and beyond really to catch decent numbers of cod nowadays. She is Arthur. Nice cat. Yeah, so I only like to keep, unless I catch a cod that's deep hooked and it's gonna die anyway. Then yes, I'll do cod catch and cook cod. If it's gonna die anyway, of course I'm gonna eat it. But if it's gonna survive, then I'll release it. We have that problem with walleye here. It's way overfished. Okay. Yeah, our standard population is probably down some too, but they're not technically native here. Like their native range is like the east of Germany and east of that. Western Germany, those fish aren't native here. They've been introduced a long time ago, but they're still not native. Catfish are not native either. Catfish, the Elbe, the river Elbe, which flows through Hamburg, was the eastern border where European catfish are native. Although there is some evidence that European catfish used to be native in Western Europe, the Netherlands, Germany, and so on, up till around the 1600s, when there was actually a cold period that caused a lot of famine and other stuff. And John will probably know what it was caused by. But it was caused by the Europeans discovering the Americas and bringing the seas and all the rainforests that had been cut down by the Inca and the Aztecs and the Maya rapidly grew back after the seas, and also conquest had killed large numbers of the population. So within just a few decades, the rainforest claimed back thousands and thousands upon square miles, like the area of many countries. And that caused carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere to drop, and that caused a cold period. And that is probably what killed off, that caused a lot of famine and probably killed off the native catfish in Western Europe. But that's a bit debated. It's a bit debated. But yeah, there is some evidence that catfish actually used to be native here, and then they died out. And then in the late 20th century. They have established themselves ever since, including in areas that are narrowing. That is for sure. Their current range is above their native lands, but maybe more islands they actually used to be native, just they died out and were gone for a few hundred years. Here in the northeast, mean there are more lobsters now. That is nice. Actually, Maddie says that he says lobsters are great bait for cod. Maddie does no frills, no mercy. He's one of those freaks who are literally gonna use lobster for bait because he isn't a big fan of eating them, but they're great bait. So he uses lobster for bait. I mean, I could maybe get behind using a lobster tail as bait. Still delicious, but so what I think is to die for. So I might, if it was amazing bait and I had enough lobsters, I might just keep the claws to eat and use the rest as bait. I could maybe get behind that, but no chance I'm using the claws as bait. Anyway. They eat any lobster that fits. I was wondering if big crayfish would work. You mean a spade? Probably. You could give it a try. You mean like freshwater crayfish, right? Please first, dispatch them in some way. Don't let them. Don't throw freshwater crayfish in salt water. They're gonna die an extremely painful death. But yeah, why not? Why not? You dispatch them with a knife, electricity, or rolling boiling water. Could be worth a try. I mean, saltwater fish work well as bait in freshwater, so I could see it working the other way as well. We use a lot of crayfish for bait here. Yeah. I think what John is wondering if crayfish would work well in salt water, even though they're freshwater species. But I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. I saved mackerel skin for trout bait. Yeah. I was using cut mackerel very successfully for trout bait as well in Scotland. In Scotland, I was catching bigger and fatter trout. Like it seemed like almost all the trout compared to the trout I caught on mackerel, the other trouts I caught on different baits were almost slightly starved. Like only the really hungry trouts were taking my other baits, and the well-fed trout would still go for my mackerel chunk. So yeah, worth a try probably. This is probably the smallest circle hook I would use for European catfish, but really I would prefer a 10 over these 8s. Although the gap is probably big enough. Vamos I need to get myself some 1.8mm catch-all or trims. These are really good trims. If I do, actually, I'll do that when I get the next shipment from the US. Because I have a friend where I can get stuff mailed to in the US, and she can ship it to me. So I can get a whole bunch of different orders delivered to her house, and then she can put that all in one box, and I'll only have to pay the international shipping once, not a bunch of times. I mean, honestly, probably I also know some fishermen who would do that for me. Good to have connections like that. It is. It is. Also, by the way, well, I'm not going to offer to anyone, but like a lot of any reel that is made outside the US is quite a bit cheaper here. For example, so these Akuma Makaira 50 wide, about $500 here, and I can get even the 130 for eight to 900. And in the US, I think it costs at least 1.2K and more. And the shipping would only cost between 50 and $100 in short international shipping. So, yeah. With the US made stuff, it's the other way around here. But anything that's not US made is quite a bit cheaper here. So, I'm willing to do the same thing the other way too, for the right person. Here's a nice frog. This one is actually still completely functional too. Hollow body frog. She hollow body popping frog. Although these don't swim as good as I would want them to. Maybe I'll have to find a way, I don't know, to put something that keeps them afloat in them. Like it's a hat or something. I don't know. I don't know. I would keep them from sinking slowly, you know. Usually, often I only get like a few pops out of them before they start to slowly sink. I'll definitely be making more of these kind of hooks. Do you do it? No, but I was doing it for pike last time I was in Sweden, and it was really fun and effective. This is like for catfish. I've put some stainless steel wires and tied them onto the hook shank, and this will work. You know, instead of a chick hook, I can have a screw-in chick head. I also can make screw-in chick heads by myself. By the way, it's not difficult. And then add one of these hooks on top, on a little stinger, and I can have one or two singles like that. Yeah, it's a pain on the smaller stuff. So for if I want to catch big catfish, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it if I'm going for a big European Wells catfish. Both because it saves a lot of money and because it's more robust and you're less likely to pull hook or have them shake the hook off. Oh. This, by the way, is the lure I caught my very first barracuda on. And look, I only need to hook that sharp. I only need to touch. Okay, that's demonstration effect, but yeah. Some weights. strictly hooks for the yeah. 300 grams or 11 ounce, 10, like 10, 11 ounce sink, more like 11-ounce sinkers. These are these 11-ounce sinkers. This bench is in the way of a lot of stuff, so let's get the bench out of the way. Probably best to get it out of the room completely. Oh, sorry, my phone fell. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, now we've got a lot more space in here. For hooks. By the way, tomorrow or the day after, I'll probably do a full service on my the Avid HXW MC Raptor. I gave it 3 coats of ceramic color wax to seal all exposed metal bits off, and once all the solvents and also all the smell of that has completely disappeared, I'll crack it open and do a grease the inside, grease and oil everything on the inside properly. So yeah, here's a pump to get PVC pipes into sand. Works pretty well. Here are the big U floats. Mamma mia. Is this 100 or 75 gram? I think this is 100. Yeah, this is 100-gram float, U float. You should make a video. I will. I probably do it live. Probably I'll do it live. I'm still feeling like I'm missing. I'm sorry, Sean, and whoever else is here. size 30, Okuma Kaora, some more beefy hooks. And the problem now is that I don't have to know what I'm going to do then. Just my fishing gear to be able to properly sort it out. But well, this week, for example, I can get this sorted. And here's actually a lure, a very special and unique lure that we use to catch European catfish. Don't you worry, I'll show it to you in a minute. This is a double wall spoon, basically, that makes like a smacking sound when it hits the water surface. Has little metal bits that rattle and has treble at the back and a single hook that is screwed on here or on one side. And that works pretty damn well. You can even use this treble out, just have this one single. Yeah. Yeah, when it flies and hits the water, just makes that sound. And, yeah. I'm honestly getting this right here right now. I might need to sit down and work on some stuff while seated. Because yeah, right now my head is feeling a bit weird. Alright. So here we have a float rig that I use to catch bait fish. And a small, so strong short shank hook. And all this line here is tangled up, so I'm gonna get it untangled. Okay, this is gonna be trash. And this. Just have like a special tube to keep floating. If I find it, I'll put it in there. There's a mouth in here. That's no good. Do you have a close distance place to get perch this spring? I do, but my knees have to be okay. That's another problem. I have some knee issues. It makes it very difficult if if I don't have a car, basically. Because the place where I can go, where I would have issues with my knees, are places where I can only really drive to. So yeah. It's not easy. Just put this over here to the side, and then I can take care of it once I find my rope, my rope tube. Okay. There's also a bunch of tangles that we can work on. All right, this is going to be trash. This is still from Brazil. This hook is completely straightened anyway. some wire. So yeah. If I maybe get a good fishing card again, there's a chance I might be able to do some walking to fishing spots. I mean, my knees have been getting better. We'll see. We'll have to see. Alright. A little leader. Honestly, I'm never gonna fish this again. That can go to the trash too. This is like 2.5 millimeter mono of stuff. I've caught crocodiles on this mono, so it's not the worst. And I've done some shark fishing with it, but I didn't get sharks to bite, so I've only had one bite that didn't stick, so can't say how well it does with sharks. Stiff mono, which is a good thing actually. You want stiff stuff. Well, depends for what you're using it for, but yeah. For most users, the few users I do use mono for, I prefer stiff over supple mono. Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason for me to use mono. And for some certain situations that are needed to be less of easy to spot. There, supple mono is fine too. But yeah. There's a hook, swivels. Then only need something for swivels. Oh, this is some 500-pound hollow core. It is. This is some 500-pound JB hollow core. Let's check. Let me give you guys a little. Hey there, curtain for Solution. I'm not leaving. I got sick and the ship has sailed. Well, the car is driven and arrived at the destination. So, sorry. In the next couple of months, unless I get my hands on a car, probably no fishing. I still have your reel, by the way, and your hooks. And if you want some 7-shot leaders or 6-skill leaders, let me know. Screw just fish. It does. There's almost nothing to catch this time of year, honestly. But still need at least amount of money for the water to warm up. And who knows how the temperatures will be. Here's a crocodile leader. I've actually used this very leader with a hook and 100 crocodiles. This is a splice loop, but normally, if you have a splice loop, what's going to happen? If you pull on it, it's going to open. This, you can pull on it, try to pull it open. Impossible. Impossible. That's a little trick I have. Anyway. Oh my god, I need charcoal leader so bad for June, July, 6 skill season. Well, how do you feel about um, do six guild sharks cut you, bite you off, or is that not a thing that happens? Can they choose through cable, or are their teeth too weak to do that? Because I know bull sharks and tigers and whites and sometimes makos can do that, but I don't know if it's a realistic risk for six skills. Because if not, I can easily get either way I can make them good leaders. But yeah, and how heavy duty do you want your leaders to be? And are they metal style? Like, do you want a mono rubbing leader or do you want a straight cable? They bite through cable and break you off on pylons, and their skin can cut six. Okay, I know what I'm going to use for the rubbing leader. I have a bunch of 2 millimeter, so that's like 600 pound. Yeah, it's like 600 pound, 133 rand cable. So really soft, supple cable that's almost impossible to kink. This cable basically impossible to get a kink in it. So I'll use this for the rubbing section, and it's gonna cost you like 1 meter per yard, $1 per yard or something. Um, oh, okay. So you fish super thin. I thought they bite through cable. You're fishing for bluegills. What do you expect? Like, but anyway. Now, just like, but I mean that's cable that I would use for eels. I fished for eels with heavier cable than that. Quite frankly, they do bite through cable, but have a tougher time with thinner cable. It seems like interesting. Well, maybe because the thinner cable is 7 strand instead of 49 strand. Could that be possible? Because the individual strands are thicker. Like this, for example, is 2 meter or 19 strand cable that I coded myself. Each strand is this is I think 400 pounds or something or 500, and this has the same thickness of strands as 1,000 pound cable. 1,000 pound cable has the same strand thickness as this much thinner cable because each strand is thicker, but it kinks easier. It's gonna kink way more often. But are they a lifestyle or not? Do you think they're gonna care if you use a lot of metal in your rig, or do you think it doesn't matter on the six skills? Because if you think it doesn't matter, then I have some ideas. It gets you some pretty indestructible rigs. Definitely possible. I have to look like, is it really stiff, the thin cable, or does it feel like almost like mono? If it feels like mono, it's a lot of strength. But if it feels like wire, almost, it's definitely 19 or 7 strand. And yeah, I use both for those reasons. So it's just anything under 49 strand. It's just a pain because you need to stiff. Hey Gemini, what else is stiff? Anything under 49 strands just kinks so dang easy that I hate using it. But I still do it when I have to. But yeah. Of course, you can also go medieval and use something like this as a shark leader. Use a chain. No way to bite or kink through this stuff. Uh, no, Well, once I'm able, but that could be a while. And well, sturgeon, it's still pretty stiff wire for how thin it is. They absolutely shredded the coating through long. Then it's seven strand. That's seven strand for sure. Maybe 19 strand, but definitely not 49 strand. Should I build a leader how I would do like an average fight? Like, did you notice more bites on that was a proper chain hook? Do you notice more bites if you go less wire or does it seem to not matter? Peter, are you in the he is, he is. Yeah. That's five minutes. Nice. Yes, so yeah, Shannon. If you say the not high, then I'll show you what way I would feel for them. If but I have to know if they're real or fine or not, because that'll really affect how they'll see real. Yeah, yeah, of course you know it. You know him, right, Shannon? Curtain for Sturgeon? Well, if ever come up to Portland, Oregon in June, July, we can make that happen for you. 2 hour drive up to the Puget Sound for Big Six Gill on 7 gill shots. Okay, I'll keep that in mind for sure. Terminal. They ain't shy all at all, just eating machines. Okay. And let's have some fun, shall we? I think we shall. I'll go do a quick bathroom break, get myself. And do you lose a lot of tackle or not really, Sturgeon? Like, are you breaking off quite a bit or is it not really an issue? Yeah, that would determine if I'm going to use cheap or expensive hooks. Good thing you don't hoard anything. Yeah, right? You're kidding, right? I mean, I do. Yeah, I think that was sarcastic, but anyway, be right back. Folks. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Yes, station. Gemini, yeah, he's got a wee bit of deer and Tefilo. Oh, 72 days. You break off a lot on the pylons when they wrap themselves up in the line because they just do barrel rolls constantly. In those months period to breed and fatten up before going back out to the open sea. Gotcha. But 2 months and 2 days. It's good to have options. Now it's like months, then they get like 2 months and they disappear in the Puget Sound. It's only the summer they come. What kind of options are we talking about tonight? So, would you go coated cable or non-coated cable storage? Would you even bother coding the byte section, or would you say coded byte section and uncoded rubbing section, or all of it uncoded? I'll listen to your advice. Because of course, for most shark fishing, I would use coded. A 10-foot 6 gill is still a juvenile, not till you hit the teens are they considered adult. Yeah, that's it. And here you have 19 strand, which is, as you can see, but if they're not shy, coded byte section for sure. Okay, and the rest obviously coded. Okay, that's nice. They're big boys. What can you say? This is some 1,000-pound cable. This should be thick enough to not get chewed through. And each individual strand, and it won't kink near like some other stuff will. There's 2 ways to attach the hook. My favorite one, I don't have enough wire for this, would be to just put it on like this, and that wrap it under tension with wire. I'll get some wire and a drill to do that with. But yeah. I run my leaders at like 5 foot for casting out of the pier for the 6. Kink not good now. Not in that. No, not when fishing. I mean, a kinky fish on the is good, but kinks in the fishing tackle, not so much. Puts the box of all my crimps. Here. Let's first find the life size crimp. This crimp would be too small this while. 3.5. For me, too much of a good thing. Okay. 3 millimeter copper crimps. Yes, sir. Dang. 11.7. So 6 skills max out at about 26 feet. Okay, I'm not sure. I think 16, right? Oh no, big males max about. You're actually serious. 80. My PB6 skill is 11.7. I don't know if I can leave 26, but I don't think it's big. Real big. I do believe they can get to 20 feet. Maybe probably above 20, but yeah, I don't know if above 26. It sounds, oh, it could be possible, let's say. It could be possible. I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah. Nope, that's serious. They are in the sleeper shark family, hence why they get so big. I know. Just the question is, have they been common reliably measured in that size? That's my question. Because I know, I mean, okay, feet are less than meters, so actually, yeah, never mind. That actually kind of checks out. Eats, rips the crimp table through a crimp. Smites her in the house. All right. First crimp done. We'll get to coding this cable. Don't worry. This was a 20-0 catch-all, by the way. Mo, you should fish with a helmet on when you fish at the pier. I know, right? No official record for largest one ever caught rod in real though, especially from shore like we do. Yeah. The thing is, he's got a point, you know? He's got a point. Maybe helmet and a bungee cable. That sounds good. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the right size shrink too. Let's see, let's first coat the hook for one size larger than this. Catchy like catch all hooks, but I've snapped two while fighting six skills. A bunch on them too. Okay, well, I can make different hooks too. Just they're gonna be a lot more expensive. See ya, M Picker. Well, first step is gonna be I'll shrink this string tube under the hook to make most of the hook coated, so less exposed metal. Okay, let's find a 2 millimeter. Here it is. This will be our rubbing section. By the way, all this is IC316, so really rust resistant stuff. Why is this shrinking up? Okay, it's takes a lot longer. Right? I don't know. Either one, the 20 catch-alls or 16 mustards. Yeah, 16 BKK are my favorite, but they're pricey. So cheap, that's for sure. Does this fit over the print? Tight fit, but it's good. Does. All right. Mhm. Yes, Gemini, we're talking about TypeScript. That's it. But I'm going to use a lighter to get this cinched down as the orientation I wanted. Then I can still do some stuff with once the orientation is locked, I can still use Steam. Okay, they should lock our orientation. I said nothing. Yeah, as a leader you're making is looking good. Come, kitty. Lila, move your kitty back in here or stay out. Yeah, I don't have the patience for the speed right now. Okay, we'll be asleep, I guess. On top of this, I don't know, something's it doesn't feel right. Like it's not sleeping up as it's supposed to or something. Okay, okay. Need a heat gun? Yes, I do. And you know this how? I prefer them cheap, easier to hook up low. Shy rating ones. Various curse. Jesus, not still. Okay, I'm not gonna say this is a family channel, but still. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm gonna get either one. Blow dryer will probably be easier to get. Yeah, that's a good tight fit. Oven, how many times does slime break off when it cooked up? My buddy used to put his in the oven. I mean, if you don't use mono, I guess you can put your rigs in the oven. But yeah, steam or a heat gun or something like that is definitely better. Let's scratch the end. Get a proper seal on here. Okay, done. Timer. Mo needs to use the scissors with the round end stuff. We left it in for like 2 minutes to soften up the shrink tube, then pull out mold to his rig. I mean, that's not bad, if I'm being honest. It's not terrible. But yeah. Do you want a clear coating or a see-through coating? Dirty. Clear or black coating? I've got all. Yeah, if I want to make them in series, I definitely gotta do it step by step. Oh. Oh, that's familiar. This is why I couldn't find my leader material. Nice. He's a bro, I ain't picky guy at all. Okay, then whichever one I find first. Of course I've got all my stock stuff couldn't make it. So probably I wouldn't take this long to find stuff, but yeah. So here's a clear. The fact that I put my hook now. Yeah, that was actually smart. Like this cable here is such high quality, you don't really find it in the pre-coded. Why is this shit not working again? Well, this way it works. I know that from experience. Snakes. Let's use steel. Just close off this end. Or we can maybe just use a glider myself, running it down the cable. Let's see if this that's on the. But the steam also works just fine. Okay, that's definitely coded. Boom, boom. I've seen anyone else prepare for a fishing trip as long as you do, Mo. Think your Scotland trip took you a week to pack. I know, right? That's me. But I also catch fish everyone else thinks are impossible to catch. So for this process, the steam actually works better, I would say. Anywho, we're gonna use crimp, one aluminum crimp and one copper crimp, and no shrink tube. here on this side. Now it's plain wide. Ready to put my outfit? Yes. Well, we're using a 600 pound. This right here is a 600-pound inline ball bearing swivel. And make a video of your leader from casting it out all the way to landing the fish, removing the hook. It's a sick video. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, no gimbals needed on cable this heavy. Actually, for that to work, I have to remove the coating here at the very end. Which not going to work as intended. Yep. Yeah. So what we've got here, sturgeon. That's secret. This is a copper crimp, obviously. This is an aluminum crimp, and this aluminum is going to work as an anode. If because aluminum isn't a very precious metal in salt water, if we have corrosion, this will protect your leader and your hook from corroding, because this aluminum will corrode first. You can also put some zinc tape around the shank. Voila. Okay, this might be too, my arm might be too big for this hook to work on, but yeah. Even if it comes facing the wrong way on my hand, it's still gonna get a grip. And onto this swivel, we're gonna attach the rubbing wheel. Okay, now I'm going to wait, the string key is all tangled up. Why are not favored how they're supposed to be? Oh, Hey there, Grace. I'll stock up your bathtub just in case. Gemini. Well, they're teeners, so we're gonna do it. Okay. Yeah. Three I lose 3 arm lengths of this cable. It would be a lot easier. Yeah. I mean, I think uncoded would work just as fine for a routing leader, but if they're not leader shy, that's really the only reason to use coded cable, in my opinion. A leader fish that are leader shy. Anywho. I do find it kind of silly when people stalk a pond just to catch the fish they stalk. Yeah, they eat that whale, so they ain't leader shy at all. So why do you want the leader coded then? Sturgeon, because like you don't have problems with the coding fraying off if your stuff isn't coded at all. And you can also get higher quality cable non-coded. Of course, I mean all stars pretty much eat dead whales. 1, 2. Yeah, we need a bit more. Okay, I'll cut this here. Just helps a little bit when wrapping up in the leader so it slips off their body a little easier. Okay. Like when they get wrapped up in the leader, can't get away well. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's like 20 foot of cable. Right, it's also very smooth cable. Like this isn't gonna see this isn't hurting my hand. Gemini, 6 gill sharks are Bissell sharks. They are at the bottom of the yeah. And as you can see, sturgeon this stuff doesn't kink easily at all. They cut you off with their skin. That is why they have okay, I'll just use a leader how it would be if you don't coat the rubbing leader and then you can still actually do the coating. Let's bring 1 end on. Here's my 2mm catch-all tackle copper trims. Good stuff, good stuff. No, I can go. Yes, I can go through trials. Nice. Gotta get a big bait out there, a couple hundred yards, or do short deployments like 200 yards out for big shots. Yeah, anything over 3 inches is big for Smurfy. Sorry, bro. But am I right? And oh, definitely. Up to like a solid 7, I'm very, very familiar. And same deal with the cockpit rim as an adult, as a sacrificial animal, I should say. All right. So, like I said, you can definitely code this part of the leader, but this is how our connections are looking. Really supple cable that is very unlikely to kink for our rubbing leader. This swivel here and very heavy hard to bite cable for our bite leader. And let's see it in action. Oh yeah, that'll land a freaking monster. Yep. So, and if I can still reprint it any day, but if I'm not gonna do if I won't do the coding on this rig, I'll just end it with a swivel. The bite section is also easier to code. It might be more important anyway. So where's the big old swivel? 400 pound, 400-pound ball bearing stainless steel swivel. Should I use a thimble? Why not? Let's be fancy. Let's be fancy for once. And use an actual thimble instead of. Normally, I would just do an offshore loop. And on the other hand, this is such a big It doesn't really matter, does it? No. And your main line could get tangled on the thimble. So let's just do the offshore loop instead. So on this side, cables offshore loop doesn't work as well anymore. It does on lighter sizes, I must say. Crimped 3 times, and then aluminum anti-corrosion crimp to finish it off. You don't really need the aluminum on both sides. One should be good enough. Why not? Also, ways in need of featuring to cover the cable ends. These are soft aluminum crimps, and I don't crimp them on super tight. So I can make it so there's nothing sticking out. All right, this would be your mainline end sturgeon. Then 1 coil, 2 coils, 3 coils, 4 coils, 5 coils, 6 coils, 7 coils, 8 coils, and 1 more coil of our bite leader. This is a bite section. This is the all Cape metal rubbing section. And yeah, cheers. This is maybe more or less how I would fish for big sharks myself. I've pulled something up from bottom one time. One barely got a glimpse, 10 feet surface, but still couldn't figure out damn head was. Okay, 40 to 70 inches or feet? It must be inches. But yeah, rig ready to go. Maybe. Nice one. This is tough stuff. And yeah, like I said, this 2 millimeter, they're not 7 times 1933 strand cable. Look at it. No, actually, this is this the same cable or is it a different one? No, this is a different one. Sorry. This is it. Yeah. Look at, I can literally fold it like this. What cable can you fold like this and it doesn't even kink? You literally have to pull it like this tight. for it to kink at all. And still, it's not a big kink. That is why I believe this will go pretty well as a rubbing leader, you know. It's also what I use for leaders for any fish that won't chew through cable, like big eels and stuff. I still need something that they cannot bite through, but they don't bite through metal. They just would bite and chew through anything else. You should have said 36 centimeter for voyage. I had 14 feet right. I don't know if they got megalodon out there. Maybe they do. Who knows? Yes, with 36 centimeters, I can actually do something. Thank you very much. Oh, but yeah. If I would make these in larger numbers, I would get a deal to get some cable coated and stuff. And of course, here I would also have, if you want the mono version, I do have some good sized mono as well. This is like 600 pounds or something, 2.5 millimeter mono. There's has caught some crocodile for me, but any shark can work its way through even the heaviest mono, which is why I prefer all metal leader. Actually, sturgeon, if you don't need that much drag, you can also only use some 300-pound and 133 strand cable for your rubbing leader and make it a bit less heavy duty, but still heavy enough probably for the rubbing part, and then just a real heavy bite section. Or maybe do a two-piece bite section. Bite section with really, really heavy cable, then another couple feet. That would definitely work great too. Yeah, then you don't need to go as heavy, you know. So that is how I like to do most of my rigs, honestly. I like to use cable that's not super heavy instead of super heavy mono. Because that cable is just come what will. Cable will never be frayed through. Hey Dolly, what's up? Mono can get frayed through. So cable cannot get frayed through. Of course, mono can get bitten through, and some cable can also get bitten through. But if you're only worried about abrasion, then any size cable will do. And like this, for example, sturgeon, this is 1.5 millimeter. This is not that. That's already 300 pounds. But as again, you can see it. This stuff, it doesn't really king, and it's just a lot thinner. I want so kind of cast it off the pier. Anything longer is a pain. Yeah, do you do pulley rigs? I will definitely use a pulley rig. And for casted leaders, I would do like this stuff. Same cable. This is really light cable. And it still holds over like 150 pounds. And look at how, I don't know if I'm bending this cable. And kink like this, no kink at all. I usually run a two and a half foot bite section and 2.5 foot rubbing section. That sounds about right. What I would do, I would cut the. So how long does the whole thing is for casting? How much line do you have outside of your rod? Let's say, how much do you have from your rod tip to your weight? How much space do you have there? Because the don't sound years how to. That improves the casting as well. About 2.5 foot. Okay, so you could go. So are you using a pulley rig or are you using a wind-on casting leader? Are you pulling your leaders through the guides or is it a pulley system? If you're not using pulley rig, it's definitely a good idea to start using them. If I have some wire, I can demonstrate for it. If I don't, I can't demonstrate. There's some wire. That will do the trick. Pulley, yeah. Well, what you can also do is a cable wind on. What size main line do you use? Sturgeon. What's your main line? I want 100 pound and grade up to 130. Okay. Then just get some 130-pound coated cable, splice it into your hollow core, and use a wind-on cable leader. That you can wind it all the way onto your reel, but you can definitely do it so it's in between your guide. And 130-pound cable, you just have to watch it when you bring a fish in, that if the up a lot, you don't through your guides a bunch. But that really you because when you're landing the shark, you're not winding down to the shark with your rod anyway. Someone's gonna be leadering that fish, and you can check it before you use it again. But somewhere I actually already have a casting rig with like 90-pound cable that I made and used in Brazil pretty successfully. And splicing cable into hollow core is the easiest thing. Okay, then you would have to splice both. I would mostly just drop them on. Albert. Okay, I don't need to demonstrate the pulley with them. But yeah, what you can do is a cable wind on, even a short one, and that goes to your pulley rig or something. So then you have like 10 feet of cable in your rig. And then you're ready for a lot bigger shark. Because even if they roll up a little, at least their skin won't cut you off. And of course, 130-pound mono, there's that stuff like butter. That won't last long. I know you know that. And if you have any leader size sharks, this is the stuff I use. Two really stiff. Let's show. This is one strand of this cable. This is a single strand of cable. As you can see, it isn't the thinnest in the world, but that's what makes it hard to bite through. But it also kinks really easy. Just this, and it gets kinked. So yeah, only cause of the pylons because they love to break you off. On only reason we want heavy mono top shot. Yeah, but that's where braid really shines. But it's more expensive to replace. I understand that. I understand that it's expensive to replace. What I would do is get good with maybe some tuna guides or some other shark people who use cotton braid and have that used 200-pound hollow core. Once they decide their 200-pound hollow core is ready to be replaced, have them spool it down for you, pay them the shipping. They'll probably give it to you for free and use that 200-pound cotton hollow core as your between the pilings. I believe you'll break off less. And Jenny, hello. So you all watch me eat some pussy. The pylons are coated in oysters. So the second braid touches it, you instantly break off, okay? That is my experience with mono, honestly, too, but yeah. He likes a good spank. Meow. When I get to go shark fishing in June, I'll definitely film the location for you. Yeah. Lila, what are you complaining about? You want to get spanked? Am I not allowed to stop spanking your butt? Yes, you can keep spanking me. I'm gonna go. I have a weird cat, don't I, everyone? That's not normal, is it? I mean, that your girl likes spanking. Well, actually, she's not my girl. She's my cat. So. Of course, they imitate their own. Screw you, Jenny. Screw you. That was a good one, to be fair. That was a pretty good one. I gotta give you that. Um, oh, yeah. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Anywho, here's a catfish rig with 500-pound Kevlar. Unfortunately, conger eels and even morays can bite through this stuff. Yes. And because I learned that lesson the hard way. Anywho. Do you prefer the sturgeon or the shark fishing, Hurton? And have you ever tried to let the six-gill sharks purposely take line and have them do a few extra runs before you bring them in? So they don't, as though they're already too tired to wrap you up in the pilings? Because I mean, I don't think a six-gill is going to die from a long fight. I don't think there are sharks that'll, I don't think they're like hammerheads that they'll have problems to survive an extended fight. Maybe even like strike the rods, like you're setting the hook to get them from you. Might be an idea to try. That's exactly what I do. Always let them run to get away from the pier. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes the structure you really have to get the fish tired before you bring them in. It's not as sexy, but hey, it works. I mean, I know forcing fish in, but sometimes you can't. Anywho, so yeah. And do you have any tricks to get them to run when they don't want to? Because in that situation, I would try everything to make the fish run. Maybe also like pulling the line like a guitar string. I know some carp fishermen do that to make a fish run when they need them to pull away from a snack. And also stingray guys do that to get the stingray off the bottom. Anything when you annoy the fish will make it take off. So yeah, what I'm talking about is if you have your rod like this, do it stuff like this, and of course like striking the rod and loosen the red to get them to run. They just pick up the bait and start running with it. Just gotta let them take it for like 30 seconds to get them into open water away from, oh, you fish directly on the to get them to run away from you and do multiple runs and get really tired before you bring them in. Like you never let them get closer to like 50 yards to the pier until they're really tired. Oh yeah, I always do that fighting sturgeon when they go under docks to make them change direction, come out under the dock. Maybe just do that if you see that you're getting your stick scales close to shore to make sure they're really tired. And don't they're tired enough that you can actually control them before bringing them towards the pilings, you know? Like, of course, they'll still be able to twist, but they might not be able to make a little run around the piling anymore. But that would be my theory. But of course, you have to try it out in real life. Just my thoughts on it. By the way, here's some of the rigs with some heavier duty cable. Sorry, some lighter duty cable, but some heavier duty hooks. My favorite hook by far. Break them off. If you don't break and some live and do a cooking and do some cooking. Maybe after that, take a little break. So, but I'll definitely be back. I feel Jimmy. This mustard is right now sharp enough, but yeah. And the shape of the mustard also doesn't mean that it's as good. Like it has a wider gap than it. I know it's a subtle difference, but it is there. They're both held in the same angle. The mustard is just turned in a bit more. Plus, its point is a bit longer. Anyway, yeah. Some food, and I'll and Jemmy, I will try that with aluminum foil sharpening hook sometime. Yeah, now I'll take a few minutes break and then I'll be back on Dundee in the gym or Dundee in the kitchen making some food. So yeah, anyway, peace out. See you guys soon, and bye bye.